They say aging is just a number. But the day you wake up at 80, you realize that's a lie we tell ourselves to stay brave. It's not just your hair that's white now or your hands that tremble when you hold a cup of tea, it's something deeper. It's the moment you look in the mirror and don't fully recognize the person staring back at you. This isn't just about wrinkles. It's about a body that no longer obeys you. A body that once carried children, ran marathons, climbed mountains, and now struggles to climb the stairs. If you're not 80 yet, consider this a glimpse into your future. If you are, you already know. Let's begin. 1. The slow fade of strength. In your younger years, strength was something you didn't even notice. You lifted grocery bags, carried grandchildren, stood on ladders to change light bulbs, all without a second thought. But by the time you reach 80, your muscles begin to betray you. Simple tasks become mini battles. Getting out of bed. Standing up from a chair. Opening a jar. These everyday movements, once automatic, now demand effort, intention, and sometimes help. This isn't weakness of will. It's biology. Sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, is relentless. No matter how active you've been, the body starts to shed strength like autumn trees shed leaves. And it's not just physical loss. It's emotional. There's a quiet grief that comes from watching your body shrink, slow, and stumble. But in this grief, there's also dignity, the kind that comes from accepting your new reality with courage. 2. The betrayal of balance. You notice it first in small ways. A tiny stumble. A moment of disorientation when standing up too fast. A fear of falling that wasn't there before. What used to be second nature, walking, turning, stepping off a curb, now comes with hesitation. Because after 80, balance isn't just about standing straight. It's about survival. One bad fall can change everything. Your hip fractures. Your independence evaporates. Suddenly, you're in a hospital bed facing weeks or months of recovery. And often, you never return fully to how you were before. That's the cruel truth no one warns you about. Aging isn't always gradual. Sometimes it's one sharp turn. But again, this isn't just physical. The loss of balance brings a new relationship with fear. You second-guess your every move. You avoid outings, skip stairs, decline invitations. Not because you don't want to go, but because you don't trust your own legs to take you there. Yet here too lies a new kind of strength, learning to live carefully without giving up completely. 3. The disappearance of energy. You might sleep 8 hours, 10 hours, and still wake up tired. That deep reservoir of energy you once had is drying up. This fatigue is different. It's not the tiredness of work or exercise. It's a constant, silent weariness that lives in your bones. Even joy requires energy. Visiting family, cooking your favorite dish, sitting through a conversation. Everything becomes an effort. People around you may not see it. You smile, nod, participate. But inside, you're managing your energy like a battery on 5%, trying to make it last. There's no shame in this. The body is winding down, like a clock gently ticking towards stillness. It's nature's way. But what no one tells you is how hard it is to let go, not just of energy but of the things that energy once allowed you to do. Dancing, gardening, laughing without feeling winded, holding your spouse's hand on a long walk. They say life slows down with age, but sometimes it stops too abruptly. 4. The strange new relationship with pain. At 80, pain becomes a companion. Not a visitor, a resident. It's in your knees when you stand, your back when you sit, your joints when it rains. Some days it's dull. Other days it howls. But it's always there. Doctors call it arthritis, neuropathy, inflammation. But to you, it just feels like your body no longer wants to be inside itself. You adapt. You learn which positions hurt less, which pills help, which shoes to wear. You plan your day around your pain, not because you're weak but because you're wise. Pain changes your priorities. You stop chasing things that don't matter. You focus on comfort, calm, and the few moments when the ache fades enough to breathe freely. And in this way, pain becomes a teacher, one that strips away what's superficial and shows you what truly matters. Aging is not just a decline, it's a transformation. Yes, your body at 80 is different. It's slower, softer, sometimes stubborn, but it's also wiser. Every wrinkle is a story. Every scar a lesson. Every ache, a reminder that you've lived. It's easy to mourn what's gone. Harder, but more beautiful, is learning to love what remains. Because inside that aging body is the same soul that danced barefoot in the grass at 16, held your first child at 30, and kissed your beloved under the stars at 50. You're still here. And that means something. Nobody tells you this. The older you get, the heavier your heart becomes. Not because you're sad all the time, but because you start carrying a lifetime of moments no one else remembers. At 80, your emotions no longer move fast. They deepen. The highs are softer, the lows stay longer, and silence becomes both a companion and a mirror. You don't just feel things anymore, you become them. This isn't just a physical age. It's an emotional crossing into a space where the world still spins around you, but you've slowed down enough to see it differently. Let's talk about the emotional changes that happen whether you like them or not, and why, in some ways, they're the most powerful transformations of all. 1. The weight of loneliness, even in a crowded room. At 80, you've likely outlived friends, siblings, maybe even a spouse. And with each farewell, a part of you disappears too. Even when you're surrounded by family, something feels missing. Not because they don't love you, but because they don't remember your world. They weren't there when your favorite song first played on the radio, or when you rode a bicycle down the hill with no brakes, laughing. The people who knew you deeply, who understood your stories without needing explanation, many of them are gone. And so, you sit at a dinner table, smiling politely while inside you're aching for someone to say, "Do you remember when?" This is the loneliness of aging, not being alone but being unmatched, like a book missing its pages. But even here there's beauty, because you learn to find comfort in your own memories. You become your own storyteller, your own companion. You start to appreciate silence not as emptiness, but as space for reflection. 2. The rise of sentimentality. It happens slowly. A song on the radio makes your eyes well up. The smell of rain reminds you of your childhood. A child's laughter echoes like a ghost from your past. At 80, you feel everything more deeply, not with urgency but with tenderness. You start to see your life like a film reel playing backward. Every moment is connected to a memory. A chair isn't just a chair, it's where your husband used to read the newspaper. A recipe isn't just food, it's the scent of your mother's kitchen in 1949. People might say you're becoming too emotional. But the truth is, you've lived so long, you know how rare real feelings are. So when they come, you let them in fully. This rising sentimentality isn't weakness. It's evidence of a full heart, weathered but still beating. 3. The quiet surrender to the present. When you were younger, life was all about what's next. The next job. The next house. The next child. The next achievement. But at 80, you start letting go of next. You begin to live in now. It's not a choice, it's a shift. The future no longer stretches endlessly ahead. Plans are shorter. Days are slower. Mornings matter more. You drink your tea with focus. You listen more than you talk. You sit by the window not out of boredom, but because the sky is worth looking at. You stop multitasking. You stop rushing. You stop pretending that you can control everything. You surrender, and in that surrender you find peace. You realize something younger people don't yet know. Presence is more powerful than productivity. And sometimes, doing nothing is the most meaningful thing of all. 4. The tug of war between gratitude and regret. This might be the most human part of aging, the constant push and pull between feeling grateful for your life and mourning the things you wish you'd done differently. 1 minute, you're overwhelmed with gratitude. I lived this long. I saw my grandchildren. I survived war, heartbreak, illness. The next minute, a quiet voice whispers, "Why didn't I say yes more often? Why did I wait to forgive? Why did I let fear stop me from chasing that dream?" This emotional duality is real. At 80, your life is both a masterpiece and a mystery you're still trying to understand. You remember the roads you took and the ones you didn't. And sometimes, that memory hurts more than the arthritis in your knees. But here's the truth that only comes with age. Both gratitude and regret are teachers. One shows you what to cherish, the other what to let go. You don't have to choose between them. You just have to feel them both, fully, honestly, without judgment. You become emotionally transparent. After 80, you stop pretending. You don't smile to please others. You don't laugh at things you don't find funny. You don't say, "I'm fine," when you're not. Your emotions are no longer hidden behind social masks. They rise to the surface. They show in your eyes, in your voice, in the way you hold someone's hand a little longer. You become emotionally honest. And that honesty is healing, not just for you but for everyone around you. Young people may look at you and see old. But what they don't realize is, you've finally become real. At 80, the world doesn't just slow down, it starts to pull away. You'll notice it not all at once, but little by little. The phone rings less. Invitations stop arriving. People wave from a distance, but fewer come close. You begin to feel something you never expected, not forgotten but faded, like a photo left too long in the sun. This isn't just loneliness. It's the quiet erosion of your social circle. The slow, steady retreat of the life you used to know. Let's talk about the third truth that comes with aging, and why it's one of the hardest to accept. 1. The vanishing of friends and familiar faces. By 80, your address book is filled with names that are no longer alive. You attend more funerals than weddings, more condolence calls than celebrations. And with each goodbye, your world gets smaller. You miss the little things. The friend who always knew what to say. The neighbor who brought soup when you were sick. The sibling who finished your sentences. They're gone now. And what hurts most is not just the absence, but the realization that no one else can replace them. The memories you share with them? Gone with them. The inside jokes? The late-night phone calls? The arguments and makeups? All sealed away forever. This is the cruel arithmetic of aging. Subtraction without replacement. But here's the secret gift buried in this loss. You begin to cherish the living more. Even a 5-minute chat becomes gold. A stranger's kindness feels like a miracle. Every new face becomes a possible blessing. Because you've seen what it's like when faces disappear. 2. The role reversal with family. Remember when your children used to ask for your help? Now they're the ones helping you. Driving you to appointments. Explaining your medications. Reminding you what day it is. And while their care comes from love, it also creates a silent shift in the relationship. You're no longer the strong one. You're being looked after now, and that can sting. You feel grateful, yes, but also a little embarrassed. Maybe even frustrated. Because deep down, you still remember the version of yourself who built a home, who paid the bills, who stood at the center of everything. Now you feel like you're watching from the sidelines. And sometimes you wonder, am I still needed? Or am I just being managed? These feelings are normal. They're not selfish, they're human. What matters most is remembering this. You may no longer be the provider, but your presence is still powerful. You are still the root of the family tree, and your wisdom is the soil that keeps it growing. 3. Conversations start to feel one-sided. People talk to you more slowly now. They assume you can't hear or understand. They ask about your health, your doctor visits, your medications, but rarely about your opinions, your dreams, or your stories. You begin to feel invisible. And it's not because people are cruel. It's because the world often sees age as a limitation, not a reservoir of depth. You want to talk about the way the world has changed. About the wars you lived through. About the love you lost. About the times you danced without a care in the world. But conversations now are shorter, more practical. Less curious. You long for someone to ask you, what do you think? What have you learned? What do you remember? Because inside your mind is a library of wisdom, and all you want is for someone to sit, listen, and learn. For your circle narrows, but deepens. You no longer see 10 people a week, maybe not even 3. But the people who do show up, they matter more than ever. It's not about quantity anymore, it's about quality. The friend who still visits every Sunday. The grandchild who calls just to hear your voice. The neighbor who brings you flowers just because. These small gestures become lifelines. And in return, you give them something rare. Attention without distraction, love without conditions, and time that's truly present. Your social world may be shrinking, but it's also becoming more sacred. You begin to value depth over noise, connection over crowds. And in that quiet, something extraordinary happens. You discover who truly sees you, and who always did. 5. The battle with obsolescence. Technology moves fast. Culture changes. Trends evolve. And suddenly, the world around you starts speaking a language you don't fully understand. TV shows confuse you. Music feels foreign. The apps and devices your grandchildren use seem like magic tricks. You try to keep up, but often feel left behind. This can create a painful question in your heart. Am I still relevant? It's easy to feel like the world no longer needs your kind of wisdom. That experience has been replaced by algorithms. But here's what you must remember. You are living proof of everything that came before. You are the bridge between centuries. You remember things no machine ever will. Love letters, landlines, the look in someone's eyes before the internet blurred everything. You are irreplaceable. And though the world may rush ahead, there's always value in the one who remembers where we've been. When you turn 80, something inside you changes, something irreversible. Time no longer feels endless. You stop counting the years ahead and start counting the ones behind. The ticking of the clock gets louder. Not in fear, but in clarity. You begin to ask yourself questions you never dared to ask before. Have I mattered? Will I be remembered? Was this life enough? This final stage of aging isn't just about the body or the mind. It's about the soul. It's where your entire existence becomes a mirror, and you look into it not to admire but to understand. Let's explore this last powerful reality of life after 80, the reckoning that shapes your final years, your legacy, and your peace. 1. Time becomes more precious than ever. In your younger days, time felt like an ocean, vast, abundant, infinite. You wasted it without guilt. But at 80, time feels more like a cup of water. And every sip matters. You begin to say no to things that waste your energy. You stop trying to please people who never understood you. You stop rushing through your days because you know now, there may not be so many left. But this awareness doesn't bring panic, it brings presence. You watch the sunset and feel its warmth more fully. You hold someone's hand and don't rush to let go. You sit in silence and feel more alive than ever before. Time has become a sacred currency. And you spend it only where it truly matters. 2. Death stops being a stranger. For most of your life, death was a distant thought. Something that happened to other people. But at 80 it becomes real. It visits friends. It knocks on the door of neighbors. Sometimes, it even brushes against your shoulder. You've had close calls. You've read the obituaries with too many familiar names. You've woken up some mornings wondering, will this be the day I don't? And yet, oddly, you stop fearing it. Because death at this age is no longer a terror, it's a transition. Not an end but a closing chapter. Not a punishment but a return. You start to think less about how you'll die, and more about how you've lived. The fear fades. And in its place comes a quiet acceptance, even a curiosity. You start preparing your heart for goodbye, not with sadness but with readiness. 3. You begin to reflect more than you plan. In your earlier years you lived in the future. What's next? What should I do? What's the goal? But at 80 you turn your eyes toward the past. Not in regret, in reflection. You remember? The way your mother's voice sounded when she called you in for dinner. The first time someone said, I love you, and meant it. The road trips, the sleepless nights with babies, the hospital visits, the laughter over old stories. Your memories become your most treasured possession. You sort through them like photo albums in your mind, some blurry, some sharp, all meaningful. You stop chasing more. You start mining what already was, for wisdom, for closure, for joy. And sometimes, in the stillness of your chair, you smile at nothing. Because in that moment you're not 80. You're 16 again. Or 32. Or 45. You're you in all your time-traveling glory. For, you think about legacy, not in monuments but in moments. Legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's what you leave within others. At 80 you realize that the most lasting things you've built aren't houses or bank accounts, but relationships, memories, values. You wonder, what did I teach my children, not just in words but in how I lived? What will people say about me when I'm gone? Did I forgive enough? Did I love enough? Did I show up? And more importantly, did I become the kind of person I would admire? Legacy becomes less about being remembered and more about having mattered. It's in the way your granddaughter still makes your pancake recipe. The way your son tells his kids, that's what grandma used to say. The way your old friends still smile when they mention your name. That's legacy. Not carved in stone, but etched in hearts. 5. Peace begins to replace ambition. You no longer chase promotions, applause, or approval. You no longer need to prove yourself. You simply want peace. Peace in your relationships. Peace in your body. Peace in your soul. You seek calm, not chaos. Stillness, not speed. Truth, not performance. You finally see the absurdity of so much striving, and the sweetness of simple days. A hot cup of tea. A phone call from someone you love. The smell of rain. The memory of a hand you once held. These things, these tiny, overlooked moments, become the whole meaning of life. And you think to yourself, why did it take me 80 years to see this clearly? The final realization, you are not your age, you are your story. At 80 you may feel forgotten by the world. But your story is still alive. And you are the only one who can tell it. Not just through words but through presence. You become a living archive of laughter, pain, resilience, and love. And the greatest gift you can give now is your wisdom, your softness, your truth. Let others rush. Let others fight. You have earned your peace. Final closing words, deep, emotional, and poetic. So yes, once you turn 80, these 4 things happen whether you like it or not. Your body becomes a stranger. Your emotions deepen. Your social world shrinks. And your soul starts speaking louder than ever before. But within these changes is a sacred invitation. To slow down. To let go. To love deeper. To live wiser. If you're not 80 yet, learn from those who are. And if you are, then know this. You are not fading, You are glowing in a way only time can create. Your life may be in its final chapter. But oh, what a story it has been.